pecan pie. It's an American creation, technically classified as sugar pie. The classic pecan pie recipe came from the makers of the Karo Syrup Company, and they use a cup of the product in the mixture along with eggs, sugar, butter, vanilla extract, and of course pecans. Alternatives for Karo syrup include brown sugar and molasses. And some recipes add bourbon, rum, or whiskey right into the mix. Pecan pie is nearly always baked in a traditional pie crust versus a crumble crust or a cookie crust. The dense combination of butter, sugar, corn syrup, and eggs create the gooey interior of the pie, which complements the crispiness of the top layer. While baking, the pecans rise to the top, leaving a gooey layer of sugary custard right below. Some cooks add their own creative spin on this. They use light or dark brown sugar in the place of granulated sugar, and even a few swap out some of the corn syrups for honey or maple syrup. Nevertheless, these subtle tweaks still result in a pie with a wobbly, gooey filling that can be very, very sweet. The filling can be made more firm, though, by adding extra egg and also correspondingly decreasing the amount of sugar. Pecans are native to North America, and the nuts were propagated by the Native Americans as far north as Illinois and the southern part of Iowa. That's according to Edgar Rose, a former engineer and self-made pecan pie expert from Illinois. Pecans grew along the waters of the Mississippi River, spreading a bit to the east into Alabama. Following the Civil War, commercial developers brought in a few varieties of pecans, otherwise called pecans, to grow in Georgia. The state is now the main commercial grower of this nut in the entire United States. Grafted pecan trees also became prevalent in Louisiana, and in the mid to late 1800s, it boomed. It exploded. The name of the nut itself is derived from the French word pecan, which is taken from the Algonquin word for nut. That may help explain why some believe the French invented the pecan pie after settling in New Orleans. There's something seemingly sweet and evident about that. The earliest printed pecan pie recipes began popping up in Texas cookbooks in the late 1870s and 1880s. And the first recipe that most closely resembles what we know today as pecan pie was published in 1898 in a church charity cookbook in St. Louis. But it was sent in by a Texas woman. By the beginning of the 20th century, recipes for pecan pie had started appearing outside of Texas. But the pie wouldn't surge in popularity until the mid-1920s. That's when the manufacturer of Karo syrup began printing a recipe for pecan pie on its cans. The pecan is heart healthy. It contains antioxidants, 19 vitamins and minerals, and healthy fat. And one of the mineral components is zinc, which is important in producing testosterone in both males and females. 78 pecans are used in the average pie, and 1 ounce of pecans provides 10% of the recommended daily fiber intake. Pecan trees, or pecan trees, however you like to say it, they live to be over 200 years old. Among all tree nuts, pecan contains more fat, but the unsaturated fat that's in it is good for your healthy heart. With 19 vitamins and minerals, this tree nut is an excellent nutritional diet. Now, unfortunately, in a few people, things might not go that way. Might not be the same for them. You see, when you consume, touch, or smell pecan, your immune system releases antibodies to check the proteins in pecan. They mistakenly consider the proteins to be a harmful substance, and then they send a signal to the immune system. It's all about this allergic reaction that some people have. To combat them, the immune system then releases antihistamines. The chemical reaction results in various symptoms known as pecan allergies. Now, allergies aside, the Texas House of Representatives named pecan pie as the state's official dessert in 2013. And since then, Texas has celebrated pecan pie as its official state dessert. It only makes sense because pecan trees grow throughout the Texas Hill Country, and they bear fruit during the fall, just in time for the winter holidays. Though pecan pie graces almost every Texan table at the holidays, some people have never had the chance to try this blissful dessert. In many areas of the country where pecans do not naturally grow, these nuts are some of the most expensive to buy, and thus it's cheaper and easier to make other holiday favorites like pumpkin pie or apple pie in those areas. But it's just not the same as our beloved pecan pie. These are interesting things with JC.